Okay, hold on. Facebook is not cooperating. Apologies. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Earth Day. Also, to our Muslim friends, Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Dearborn-Dearborn Heights Town Hall on Redistricting and Communities of Interest. We are recording this meeting on April 22nd, 2021, and it will be posted on the League's website. My name is Mary Jo Duravage, and I have the honor of being the president of the Dearborn-Dearborn Heights League and your facilitator for the evening. Our town hall is one of many being presented throughout the state by local leagues. You can see a list of these virtual town halls on the League of Women Voters of Michigan website. We are happy to be working with 3 community partners on the event tonight: Dearborn-based Access, AAUW Dearborn Branch, and Western Wayne County NAACP. I will now ask the representatives from these groups to say a quick hello. Miriam?
Hi, thanks, Mary Jo. I'm Miriam Bazzi, a community organizer from Access, the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services, and we're so excited to be partnering with the League for an event such as this on redistricting. Thanks.
Thank you, Miriam. Gina?
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Gina Wilson-Stewart, and I am the president of the Western Wayne County branch of the NAACP. And we're just one of over 20 branches of the NAACP in the state of Michigan. So I'm glad to be partnering on this, another event with the League of Women Voters.
Thank you so much, Gina. Valerie, are you on?
I am.
Great.
So we too are very pleased to be partners with you. The AAUW, American Association of University Women Dearborn, is celebrating 88 years in Dearborn. So we are very pleased to be able to be a part of this very important initiative. Thanks.
Thank you, Valerie. And thank you all very much for your participation in our town hall. So the agenda for this evening is as follows. We will first hear from Mr. Anthony Eid, who is a member of the 13-member Michigan Independent Citizen Redistricting Commission. Commissioner Eid will tell us a bit about the commission and then how we as Michigan residents can be involved in the redistricting process. Mr. Eid will then be available to field any questions you may have. We will next hear a league presentation that will go into more detail about how we got here, and again, how important it is for all of us to be involved in redistricting. Following this formal presentation, we will hear from a member of our local league's Communities of Interest team, who will explain the purpose of that group and how to contact the team. We will then once again field questions and answer them as we can, acknowledging that this is new territory and the redistricting journey is new for all of us. We ask that you enter questions into the public chat box, which will be monitored by one of our league members. We ask that you use the public chat on both the Zoom chat and Facebook only for questions. We'd appreciate that. If we do not get to your question, you can visit our league website at LWV-DDH.org and click Contact Us and give us your question, and we'll be sure to get back to you. And also as a reminder, please keep yourself muted as we are recording. Thank you very much. So let us begin by hearing from Commissioner Anthony Eid. Anthony, you have the floor, and please begin by taking just a couple of minutes to tell us your background and how you came to be a member of the MICRC.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Mary. I really appreciate it. First, let me say it's an honor being here tonight with all of you. I'm Anthony Eid. I'm an independent member of the 13-member Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. A little bit about myself. I'm 28 years old. I'm half Chaldean, half Lebanese. My mother grew up in Iraq. My dad grew up in Lebanon. And they immigrated here, and they started a family. So I grew up in Orchard Lake, Michigan. Spent the first 18 years of my life there, and then I moved to Detroit to attend Wayne State, where I got 2 bachelor's degrees, one in biology and one in psychology. Then I went on to get a master's degree, and since then I've finished up 2 years of med school and hope to finish when this commission is done, and one day, God willing, become an orthopedic surgeon. At Wayne is where I really started some of my advocacy work. While I was there, I was elected to be president of the student government over there at Wayne. And I see one of my colleagues, Bilal, over here on this call. So shout out Bilal. He's also used to work in student government. Now I believe he's at the Secretary of State's office. Hey, there you go. But I was a pretty strong supporter of Proposal 2 back in 2018. I campaigned, and I didn't formally campaign, but I told all of my colleagues about it and thought that they should vote for it. Then when it came time to apply, I applied, and to my surprise, I was selected, which, as all of you know, it was a random selection. So it was quite surprising to be essentially selected by a lottery of almost 10,000 regular, normal, everyday citizens in Michigan that applied. So yeah, that's kind of my story. I have 2 little short presentations here today.
Okay.
If I can share my screen, and then we can go into Q&A, and I'll stay here for your presentation as well, because I'm sure you'll go over some of the stuff that probably will be answered in Q&A too. Let's see, I'll start off with our strategic plan. Let's see if you guys can see this. Can everyone see that on the screen?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. So some history of the MICRC. In 2018, Michigan voters passed Proposal 2 to amend the Michigan Constitution. This created the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. It's the first time in our state's history that redistricting is controlled by everyday citizens, everyday voters, instead of politicians. The 13 randomly selected residents are of 3 different groups. We have 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 5 independents. And I'm one of the independents on the commission. And our task is to redraw the districts for Michigan's congressional districts, our state house, and our state senate districts. So it's all 3. We've created a strategic plan where our mission is to lead Michigan's redistricting process to assure Michigan's congressional, state senate, and state house district lines are drawn fairly in a citizens-led, transparent process, meeting our constitutional mandates. And we also have a vision that's to chart a positive course for elections based on fair maps for Michigan today and for the future. It doesn't escape me personally that, since this is the first time a commission like this is in effect, a lot of our work doesn't only affect us today and maps for the next 10 years, but it's also likely to affect the next commission 10 years down the road. Our goals are fairness, awareness, transparency, and engagement. I think one of the most important goals that we have really is transparency. All of our meetings are live streamed over YouTube and Facebook. Every piece of public comment that we get is posted to our website. Every application that we get for our various hires are posted on our website. All of our deliberations on said hires all happen in the open. And this is a pretty stark contrast to how redistricting has worked in the past, where whichever party was in power, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, they controlled the process. And they did it without transparency, in their back rooms in Lansing, and that's how we ended up with the maps that we ended up with. Luckily, the people of Michigan decided to change that. We also have 4 core values: integrity, respect, transparency, and to be purposeful. We have a few core competencies. We try to run our meetings by these competencies. We believe that action exemplifies honesty and professionalism. Responsibilities and integrity are put above personal or political gain. Thoughtful and purposeful dialogue and collegiality are fostered. And finally, respect, tolerance, and equality are all extended towards members and towards others as well. To sum this up, what it basically means is that because we're a commission, it's not all up to one person, right? We have to come to consensus between the 13 of us that are on the commission. And also, there has to be at least one member of each of those 3 groups, Republican, Democratic, and Independent, to do most of the major things that we need to do. For example, just earlier today, we had a motion that did not pass because we did not have consensus between the 3 groups. So we work as one, the commission is one team, and even though, like with any group, at times there may be disagreements, at the end of the day, we're one team. It's important that we remember, we all work as one. We have different critical success factors. And again, they kind of lead back to our core values that we spoke about earlier. We've passed a code of conduct, policies and procedures that we follow. All actions that we take are undertaken with a commitment to fairness. The Constitution is the first thing that's upheld first and foremost. And we try to keep our deliberations consistent, with consistent values, and again, all in our open meetings. So that's the end of this presentation. This is a slide that just goes over how different members of the public can reach us. Not only can you reach us at our website, redistricting@michigan.gov. That's our email address, redistricting@michigan.gov. But you can also reach us at our website, michigan.gov/MICRC. At all of our meetings, we also have public comments. Members of the public are more than welcome to sign up and address us live. And we also have written comment at each of our meetings. We get quite a bit of written comments, sometimes over 100 pages. And I, for one, read every single one of them and try to really take into account what our citizens are saying about the commission, and most importantly, hearing how their communities, how they think their communities and their maps should look like. We'll move on real quick to a second presentation that talks a little bit more about how we plan to go around about the community. So in the Michigan Constitution, it says that we have to hold at least 10 public hearings throughout Michigan. Well, it's 10 public hearings for our first round of map drawing, and then 5 more after our first drafts are put out to the public. However, we decided that 10 was not enough. We've actually decided to increase that to 16 public meetings for our first round. And we did that to make sure that more people's voices could be heard. The purpose of these public hearings are threefold. They're to inform the public about the redistricting process, share the purpose and responsibilities of the commissions to the public, and I think most importantly, to solicit information from the public about their thoughts on potential redistricting plans. So here are our locations and dates that we're going to have these meetings. On May 11th, we'll be in Jackson. On May 13th, we'll be in Kalamazoo. We'll be in the UP and Marquette on May 18th. We'll be in Gaylord on May 20th. We'll be in Midland on May 25th, Lansing on May 27th, Flint on June 1st, Pontiac on June 3rd, Novi on June 8th. The important one for us right here today is Dearborn on June 10th at the Ford Conference Center. We're going to be in Detroit on June 15th, and then again on June 17th. And Port Huron on June 22nd, Warren on June 24th, Muskegon on June 29th, and Grand Rapids on July 1st. However, I should say these dates are subject to change. You know, we are in a pandemic currently, and that has caused us to move around some of the dates based on availability of our venues. We're finding that a few of the venues we originally proposed to have these dates that are being used as vaccination sites, which has complicated things, but the locations are not going to change. So we're definitely going to have one in Dearborn. Mary, I see you. You want to jump in?
Anthony, the date in Dearborn, unless it changed after the meeting today, is June 3rd. And that was changed to June 3rd because the city is offering to waive any rental fees. So they must have had something going on the 10th. So my understanding it was changed to June 3rd, and that is what is showing on the current website.
I got you.
And it
Okay,
says it starts at
June
5.
3rd.
And that was one of, yeah, it was on June 10th, but then it was moved
Yeah.
a few weeks ago.
No, that's right. Yeah, because, you know,
Yeah.
we have a budget, obviously, and one of the, you know, we're trying to save the taxpayers money here. So anything that different cities can do to help us, you know, we're obviously going to try to accommodate as long as they can accommodate us. You said 5 p.m. I think the confusion there lies in that the commission has a meeting of our, you know, old and new business preceding the public hearing. So
Okay.
members of the public can expect us to start at 6 p.m., which is when they should, you know, come in and arrive and let us know what they think. And we'll talk more about that in a little
Yeah,
bit.
thank you.
Wonderful. This slide goes over the criteria that's in the Michigan Constitution for the actual, you know, drawings of the maps, the actual redistricting process. The first measure here is equal population and the Voter Rights Act. Those are nationwide in the U.S. Constitution, so we got to follow that no matter what. Essentially, it just means that every district has to have about the same number of people. Number 2 is geographically contiguous. What that means is that, you know, you can't have, the district has to be connected somehow. You can't have, for example, Dearborn, you know, in one place and Detroit, you know, let's say Midtown Detroit in another place and have them not be connected. The third is communities of interest. And here's where things get a little interesting because Michigan is one of the few states that has communities of interest so high up on our list. And communities of interest doesn't really have a, you know, a specific definition. I think that's what makes it interesting. And it really makes it important for the communities to self-identify what makes them communities of interest. Now, these could be, you know, different cultural similarities, socioeconomical similarities, religious similarities, or it can be even simpler than that. Maybe, you know, everyone that lives on the water might be considered a community of interest. The people that are in the tourism areas might be considered a community of interest. For Dearborn especially, I mean, we all know there's a very large number of Arabic speaking citizens. That could be a community of interest. So really it's up to the communities to self-identify and let us know where their community is and get specific with us. You know, let us know exactly where that community is. You know, where does it stop? Where does it start? And that way, you won't be split up. And if the communities are not split up, it gives them one voice and greater opportunity to have the politicians that they elect actually represent the voices of the community. Moving on, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are a little bit lower on the priority list. These are in order of priority, but there are no disproportionate advantage to any political party, no favor or disfavor of any incumbent elected official. They're to reflect consideration for county, city, and township boundaries, and they're to be reasonably compact. Compactness, I think people confuse compactness a lot with a good map. You know, everyone wants, you know, even shapes, you know, even squares on a map. But just because something is an even shape doesn't necessarily mean it's truly representative of the community, because communities don't often look like perfect squares. So I do think we will end up with maps that are more compact than what we currently have. However, I don't think they're going to be necessarily, you know, perfect polygons like how some people want. We kind of went over this already, but communities of interest may include different shared cultural or historic or economic interests. But really, they're not supposed to include political parties, incumbents, or political candidates. So, you know, the whole point of this process is to keep politics out of the process and to, you know, go to where the people actually are. So yeah, in conclusion, again, if anybody wants to let us know what they think, they can submit either written comment to us at redistricting@michigan.gov. You can visit our website at www.michigan.gov/MICRC, or you can sign up for live comment at any of our public hearings. And I know, Mary, you're about to go over this, but honestly, what we need really to happen the most is we need the community to come out when we're in Dearborn and let us know what you think in person. I think that is going to be the opportunity to have the most impact on how people in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights feel about their maps. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mary.
So Anthony, I did listen to the meeting today, and you were talking a little bit about some of the logistics of the public hearings. And I suppose most of that will be, or all of that will be on the website at some point. But what I remember is that, and thank you for clarifying that the hearing itself starts at 6, because it does say 5 on the website, and I think that's very confusing to people. So Edward might want to, you know, work on that. But it sounds like people will be able to register or sign up to speak 18 hours before the hearing begins. And it sounds like you do it on the website or you register or something. But if people just come to the, it's going to be at the Ford Civic and Performing Arts Center. If they come at, I don't know, 6:30, they'll still be able to sign up though, right? But they may be way down the line because other people have signed up earlier.
Yeah, we're taking a two-tiered approach because we realize, first off, not everyone has access to a vehicle to be able to make it out to the meeting in person. And we wanted to make sure that there's accessibility for all members of the community, not only those who could show up, especially, you know, considering we are in a pandemic and, you know, rates are spiking right now and hospitals are pretty, you know, filled up to 90%. So what you were just referring to is the virtual comments. If somebody wants to participate virtually at the public hearings, they can sign up on our website up to 18 hours before the meeting starts. But that's for virtual public comment.
Okay. So in person, you register when you get there. Well, thank you for clarifying that, Anthony. I appreciate it.
In person, you just show up, you register when you get there.
Okay.
As long as you're there before 8 p.m., we can get your name on a list.
Okay.
Every person's gonna have 2 minutes to speak. We're gonna have a public comment tool on our website that's we're procuring right now, where they can also put it there in writing. That, you know, that's a pretty important facet of this, because that's the mechanism where you can actually draw a map and submit it to us, and we can take that map and embed it in our software tools and see how any map that any citizen submits affects, you know, the map at large for the whole state. So I
So
would
if-
recommend, go ahead.
If a person comes and they've got their map with them of their neighborhood association, they say, they talk for 2 minutes, they give you the map, then that's going to go into that portal though. Somebody's going to have to do that. It's not going to have to, it won't be us. I mean, it could be us, but if somebody hasn't done that, it'll be taken care of by the commissioner, secretary of state.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, and we'll have stations set up as well. for-
right,
for
and
people
some of
to
our
do
league
that right
members are
there.
probably going to be staffing that, yeah. Okay, well, tell us about some of the experts that the commission's going to have to help them with their work. Like the voting
So-
rights attorney.
So, we've made a lot of hires since this process first started. It took a little while to hit the ground running because this is the first time, that our state's done anything like this. So we had to start from scratch. So we started by hiring an executive director, one that I believe you guys have talked to quite a bit, Sue Ann Smith. She's been doing a wonderful job. We then hired general counsel and a communications director. Since then, though, we've hired two pretty major hires. One is our vendor for the mapping software, and their EDS. They have over 20 years in experience in redistricting. They've worked for redistricting on both sides of the aisle. And the commission felt that their tools were the best tools for the job in order to draw the maps.
That's
And then-
EDS, EDS.
Yes,
Okay.
electronic data services. More recently, we hired a Voting Rights Act expert to advise us specifically to make sure we're in compliance with the Voting Rights Act that's in the US Constitution. I'm sure all of you are up to date on the news. The VRA is in the news a lot. They're talking about HR 1 in Congress, and we'll see what happens with that. But for now, the Voting Rights Act is what it is. And it's something that we're gonna need to make sure, we have down pat in order to make sure our maps don't get denied by the Supreme Court. So we hired a Voting Rights Act expert. The one that we hired, I thought he was easily the best person for the job, actually. It generated a little bit of publicity because he's made some very small donations to the current Secretary of State. However, what you may not have read unless you actually, watched our meetings and read the applications on our website is he also worked for George W. Bush and his administration. So,
But the point is that you're not, just doing it yourself. You're going to have these experts who know what
Yes.
they're doing, because I don't know that everybody knows that.
well,
Did you-
yeah, we don't, but I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about this. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a mapping expert. I'm not a voting rights expert. My background's in science. And the other members of the commission, likewise, they're not experts by any means on this topic. But I think that's kind of what the point of proposal 2 was to have normal everyday people take a look at the stuff and try to come up with the best solution possible. And while we do have experts advising us, the Voting Rights Act expert in particular, he worked on the Arizona Commission, and their maps are still in use today. So, he knows how to do his job. I'm confident that,
Yes, it
that he
sounds
will
like
be
it.
well served.
Did you want to comment on the suit that the Secretary of State filed in your commission in terms of the timeline? People might be interested in that.
Sure. So in the original, well, it's current still because the Supreme Court hasn't made a determination yet. But we thought we'd be receiving the census data somewhere around March or April. I believe 10 years ago, when redistricting happened and the census came out, the legislature had their census data by the end of April, so they'd have it at right about now. However, this U.S. Census Bureau has come out and said that they're not going to be releasing census data until September 30th, 2020. Now, that's not good because in the Michigan Constitution, it states that we have to have our first draft of maps out to the public by September 1st in order to give them 45 days to comment on it, and then we can go back and use the comments that the public gives us to edit the maps as the commission sees fit. However, we obviously can't do that if we don't have accurate data that isn't going to be released until September 30th. So the commission authorized our general counsel to submit a suit in conjunction with the Secretary of State's office in order to move these dates back. And our hope is that, you know, the court gives us this relief, and that way we're able to draw these maps with the most accurate data possible that truly reflects where people are living in our state. So, you know, it's disappointing because it's pushing the timeline back a little bit, but our goal is still to have these done. I think at the latest would be in January of 2022. We've been working with the Secretary of State in order to make sure that whenever we do finalize these maps, their office on the back end can then turn those maps into ballots, as far as, you know, making sure everyone's in the actual district that they're drawn into. So, you know, we're trying to work as a team. It's disappointing, but you know, I don't think anyone could have predicted the past year that we've had in this country.
Well, that's for
So
sure. Yes,
I'm going to cut the census some slack a little bit.
The Secretary of State did send something out, I think it was yesterday, explaining about the lawsuit. And then I think today Juliana said January 25th, I think is the date that they're hoping to get everything. So one last question until we go to the chat, if there's any. So if somebody sends a question to redistricting@michigan.gov, who answers the question?
Well, it depends. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes the questions go unanswered. There are times where I've answered questions personally if someone leaves their email address there. But what I can guarantee is every question gets looked at, every point that someone brings up gets looked at. I mean, I look at it personally.
Okay.
I have a little log actually of you know, kind of topics that any number of people comment about. So leave your email address on there, and you know, you might be hearing from me.
Okay. So, you got one for me saying, why aren't you starting the public hearing earlier, like at 4? But anyway, okay, Nancy, do we have any questions for Anthony?
At this point, there are no questions.
Okay, well,
Perhaps a
okay,
little later.
Anthony has graciously agreed to stay on, so that's great. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears and get into the League of Women Voters presentation. This was something that was done by some of our hardworking volunteers at the League of Women Voters of Michigan. And I do want to state to begin with that, as hopefully people know, the League is a nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose parties or candidates. We do encourage the informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League also works to increase the understanding of public policy issues through education, and that's why we're here tonight. So we probably will go through this a little quicker because Anthony gave us some great information. So, but basically the presentation will attempt to talk about redistricting and how gerrymandering affects it, what Michigan did to get rid of gerrymandering, and the new system for drawing election district lines. So what is redistricting? Next. Thank you, Peg. So the lines for Michigan's U.S. Congressional, State Senate, and House districts are reviewed and redrawn every 10 years following the national census, after population shifts are identified and published. So redistricting is the process of drawing the lines for congressional and legislative districts. And how the district lines are drawn determines which voters reside in each congressional and legislative district. And so in Michigan, we have 14 congressional districts. We have 38 Michigan Senate districts and 110 Michigan House districts. So how are the map lines drawn? Next. So the US Constitution requires that the states or the seats for the US House of Representatives be apportioned to states according to the population count in the federal census conducted every 10 years. In the famous 1964 case of Reynolds versus Sims, the United States Supreme Court determined that the general basis of apportionment should be one person, one vote. And this rule means that generally electoral districts must be equal in population according to the most recent census, so that each person's vote is equally weighted. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 blocks district lines that deny minorities an equal opportunity to participate in the political process and to elect representatives of their choice. And while the law states how many people must live in each district, it does not specify how the lines are drawn, except that minority rights must be protected. Next. So what's the problem? Well, this slide should say it all. Politicians manipulate elections to keep themselves and their party in power. Next. So this is to try, I know it looks kind of funny, gerrymandering simplified, because that certainly looks mystifying to me. But if you look at these 4 graphics, it may help you understand. So gerrymandering means drawing the lines to suit special interest, which Michigan politicians have done on both sides over the years. So here's a sample election district. First, without district lines, and then with 3 ways to draw the lines. And the district is 40% purple voters and 60% green voters. So the map on the left has no lines. The second from the left shows districts that are compact. Lines are drawn vertically, and the outcome matches party distribution. That is 40% purple and 60% green. The next one over has districts that are compact, but unfair, because the outcome is that green wins every single one just because the lines are drawn horizontal rather than vertical. The last one on the right shows districts that are neither compact nor fair, and you can note that the hard turns in the lines. Next slide is another example of gerrymandering from the Washington Post. As you can see, how the lines are drawn determines the outcome. In the first example of cracking, green wins all 4. In the second example of packing, purple wins 1 and green wins the other 3. Cracking and packing are terms you may often hear in discussions of what not to do when drawing the lines. So let's look at Michigan congressional districts. So there are 435 members of Congress. This is a set number. This number is reallocated among the states after every decennial census. And because of a growing population in Michigan, we had 12 in 1900, and that grew to 19 in 1960 and 70. But since then, we've lost congressional districts after each decennial census as a result of population growth in other states. And we will most certainly be losing one this year. So each congressional district has about 710,000. Each district elects a representative to the House for a 2-year term, and there are no terms limits. Now we're looking at a good example of gerrymandering in Michigan, one of the worst in the country. This is Congress. Okay, go back, Peg. This is Congresswoman. Go back to, I'm sorry, slide 10, Peg. There you go. This, so this is Brenda Lawrence's seat. It has a 79% Democratic base. Over 80% of the population is African-American. Okay, next slide. So we've seen the congressional district map. Here's the Michigan Senate map. So this map highlights the 2012 Michigan Senate districts based on the 2010 census. It has 38 members in districts ranging from about 212,000 to 263,000 residents. They're selected at the same time as the governor, They serve 4-year terms concurrent with the governor's term of office, and they're limited to 2 4-year terms. Now let's look at the state house, Peg. This map highlights where districts are, obviously, in the Michigan House from the 2012 redistricting. There are 110 Michigan members who represent about 77,000 to 91,000 residents. They are elected in even numbered years to 2-year terms, and the current term expires on December 31st, 2022. Each representative is limited to serving 3 terms or 6 years. And just to note, because I looked this up, just as this congressional, the number of congressional seats is set in the Constitution, so are the numbers for the Michigan House and Senate districts in our Constitution. The numbers were adjusted in the 1963 convention. Okay, next, yes. So we've learned a little bit about redistricting, about gerrymandering, about the makeup of our legislative districts. Now we will learn about the new Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. Next slide. Okay, so you know what? I'm not even going to go to, let's go to the next slide because we've already covered all this. And let's see what else we can, well, I just do want to say that, want to stress the impartiality, as Anthony told us, 4 Dems, 4 Republicans, and 5 independents. The 5 independents can be either associated with a minor party or no party. And you'll see that, we'll go on to next slide, Peg. And you'll see that it graphically showed you that it is balanced between, you know, the Republicans, Dems, and independents, and that there are 13 members, which means they'll never have a tie if everybody's there. Okay, and we can skip that one, Peg. And I do want to, might repeat a little bit what Anthony said, but listening to the meeting today, the communications director said that people are really asking how these people were selected. So I would like to spend just a minute on this. So the goal of the selection process was to have a commission that reflected the state's geographic and demographic makeup. Individual citizens were invited to apply using the Secretary of State website. And in addition, the Secretary of State mailed applications to 10,000 randomly selected qualified voters who could apply using the website. And I know that at least one member of our league received one of those letters. After June 1st, a random process weighted to reflect the geographic and demographic makeup of the state reduced the pool to 200. So 60 self-identified Republicans, 60 self-identified Democrats, and 80 self-identified independents. And the top 2 leaders in the House and Senate could each strike 5 applicants, reducing the pool to 180. And then that pool went down to 13 randomly selected commissioners. Okay, we can go on, Peg. So map approval, the commissioners will spend a lot of time holding hearings and consulting with experts who will use specialized software and data from many sources, including, of course, census data, to draw election district maps. The idea is to come up with election district maps that meet the criteria in the constitutional amendment and are approved by a strictly prescribed vote of the commission. And let's go over this voting process in the next slide. I thought this was kind of interesting. So before a vote by the MICRC, the map must have been tested using appropriate technology to meet the criteria in the Constitution, which we'll cover in a minute. The approval requires a majority vote, 7 of the 13, and that 7 must include at least 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 2 independents. If these voting requirements cannot be met, each of the 13 commissioners would submit 1 final map for each state house, state senate, and congressional district. And then the Secretary of State would choose from among those final maps. but I'm sure we'll hopefully won't get to that. Okay, let's go to slide 21, Peg. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the criteria and rules, which I think we can probably pass over pretty quickly. 22, Peg? Yes, we've already gone through this, so I don't think we need to spend too much time on it other than to just note again that the communities of interest is number 3. And it's interesting that how far down being reasonably compact is, and also considering the political boundaries. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so we can go on, Peg. So we talked a little bit about the public participation, and it is in Dearborn, it is June 3rd. It'll be getting at 6 o'clock. Thank you for verifying that, Anthony. And we talked about the timing or the filing the suit with the Supreme Court. And as you said, Anthony, the pushing the deadline will also help the local clerks do what they need to do to create and provide the voters with their correct ballot. So let's go on to the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about the league's role. So what are we doing? We're monitoring the commission meetings to be sure that the law is being followed. And the league has, as Anthony mentioned, addressed the commission and continues to meet with the commission staff. So our big focus is on communities of interest. And this is a new concept, a new process for us all that we mentioned. So the league is and will be focusing on those groups not working with other organizations like Voters Not Politicians, Michigan Nonprofit Association, or the NAACP. We will, however, try to coordinate with any of our local efforts with these groups. So our goal is to identify communities of interest or informal groups of people who share a common knowledge, issue, or concern and connect with them. The local league COI teams will educate potential COIs about redistricting and teach them how to write and give testimony. They will also show groups how to use mapping software to draw a map showing their COI. Let's go on to the next. Okay, so let's hear more about the COIs and what are they and why are they so important? Next slide. Okay, so we talked about how the Constitution mentions cultural characteristics, historical characteristics, economic interest. Next slide, please, Peg. So we are in an enviable position in that, we've moved from the job of creating election district lines by the gerrymandered legislature to an independent commission of voters. However, this whole process is new and largely not known by the people. And on top of that, as Anthony mentioned, we had this census delay, the pandemic, and so many things that we used to do in person are having to be done virtually. We can't look to other states for guidance, really, because each state has their own definition of COIs and also the priority. So like Arizona might have it as one of their criteria, but we've got it as number 3. So that makes it really important. And as we mentioned, it's even higher than consideration of county, city, and township boundaries and being compact. Okay, we can go on, Peg. And we've already talked about some of the groups, but something around here, maybe neighborhood associations, adjacent school districts, ethnic groups. We don't have too many agriculture groups around here, but somewhere in the state they do. Okay, Peg. So why do they matter? They matter because under Michigan's Constitution, they are meant to be the building blocks for legislative districts. The fundamental purpose is to group members of a COI into a single district in most cases. rather than scattering them among two or more. And this makes it easier for groups with shared concerns to elect and then influence a lawmaker who will work with the group to effect needed change. Okay, Peg. So how can we get involved? So we've talked about the public hearings. You may want to listen to some of the live meetings. You can go to the website and watch a few of their the older meetings. As Anthony mentioned, if you want to make a public comment while they're being conducted virtually, you do have to let them know ahead of time because of just technicalities. But that's all on the website, all that information. We talked about there's going to be a new portal for public comment, I guess off the website, but that it's going to be, one-stop shopping. You'll be able to, put your idea of a map into this portal and you'll be able to see other ones, is my understanding, right, Anthony?
Yes, you should be
Yeah.
able to see how it compares to others that have submitted similar maps.
And there'll be like tags. So like if I wanted to go in and see what somebody had done for Dearborn, it sounds like I'll be able to see what somebody has done and maybe I don't have to do anything. If you are thinking, or if you think you might be a member of a community of interest that does not want to be divided by a political line and would like some direction, please contact our local league. We will get you connected with our COI team. And finally, we have a list of resources that our local league has compiled. And we'll leave that up for a minute. And we'll be putting that on our website and then we'll continue to update it as we find new resources. And maybe Peg, go to the second page. Also, we've been putting events, webinar events and so forth on our website. One good thing about the COVID is so many virtual webinars. If there's something from Lansing, it doesn't stop us from, appreciating and participating in the webinar. So all this to say that we are trying to put all, good resources on our website and we invite you to come to it. So, and as a reminder, this town hall meeting will be on our website. And so now, thank you, Peg. I'd like, Peggy put this list into the chat as a document if somebody wants, if you want to download it. So now we're going to hear from Karen Jones, who will tell us about our league's community of interest work. Karen?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen Marie Jones, the Vice President of our local league. And I want to thank everyone for being on the call. And I know you've received a tremendous amount of information and it's an exciting project that we're getting involved in tonight. And I am part of a 4-person team who we have been studying extensively and gathering information that we will hopefully be able to give everyone what they need to discern if they are a community of interest and how to help you present yourself and to testify at the town hall. So as Mary Jo has said, there's going to be a lot of information and resources on our website. Please feel free to go to our website. And at that point, when you have any questions or concerns, one of our team members will be here to help you. And I thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Karen. And like I said, just go to our website. You can Google it, or it's LWV-DDH.org. And there's a button that says contact us. So that's the best way to do that. So, okay, Nancy, what have we got in terms of questions? I did see some flash by.
We do have a few. The first question is, does a community of interest need to be a mappable community?
Well, I'm going to say yes, but I'll let Anthony talk more about it.
I think that for it to really have an impact, it does. If it's not a mappable community, it would then be hard to transfer that data into something that's actually usable.
Right.
But the information, if for some reason you have a non-mappable community, we could still, take that information and kind of keep it in our heads, but that probably will have less impact than one that's actually drawn.
Yeah, and I don't know if we really said it, but and maybe you did already. I think when you said that the whole reason we have these political districts is so that we are represented by someone, and they're supposed to be looking out for us, and we're supposed to be able to talk to them. And so if we can, if there's more people that, maybe in Dearborn Heights, they're worried about flooding. And so if you get all the people that are, affected by the flooding, to make sure they're at least included, I don't know, in the congressional district. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out. But yeah, I would think that you would have to, and the commission is really stressing that you do draw a map. Don't just put it in text. So if you go and do some testimony, make sure you've got a map shown, because that goes into the mix, so to speak. Okay, Nancy, what else?
Does a community of interest have to represent an organized group of citizens?
I would say no. And that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing, is finding people that probably don't identify themselves as being very organized. But like in my case, our neighborhood association, that is organized. It has some, parameters, and so that'll make it easier to draw a map. But if a group of people has a concern and they, feel like if they, maybe some of them are in, one district and some are in the other district, and they think, boy, if we got together with this common interest, maybe we'd get more done. What do you want to say, Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. It definitely doesn't have to be represented by an organized group of citizens. We've had people come and talk to us already in this process who have just been, one person here or there saying, hey, I live here in this community, and our congressional district is attached to this other community that's 60 miles north of us, and here's why they shouldn't be. So it doesn't have to be, but if you are an organized group, it probably helps. I mean, you'll have more people with the same sentiment.
And that reminds me, so then if you do have a group, when you go to the public hearing, you would want to have one person be the spokesperson for that group. And it sounds like the commission might be looking into other alternatives for what they call group presentations, but I know that hasn't been fleshed out yet.
Yeah, that's correct. We're still discussing that, but I think it would be more organized if there was a spokesperson that could say, hey, I represent this amount of people, here's our population, and here's where we are.
Right. Anything else, Nancy?
Well, there's a question that actually Anthony answered on the chat, but he might want to expand on that. But did the League of Women Voters initiate proposal 2, or was it another organization or group of organizations? He mentioned that the Voters Not Politicians actually initiated it, but is there anything else? I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add to that.
Well, I would like to, toot our horns a little bit. The National League has been involved in redistricting for quite a while, but in 2012, I don't know, Peg, if you've got that handy, but the League of Women Voters of Michigan actually, I don't know if we must have studied it and then came up with a position that we support a citizen commission. And really, it has many of the characteristics of the current redistricting process. But so we were trying to, I don't know, prime the machine or something, get people thinking about it. But it was Katie Fahey, who my daughter knew from Aquinas College, that kind of started the ball rolling for Voters Not Politicians, and God love them. So we were certainly had our own members working on Prop 2 along with Prop 3. But yeah, it wasn't a brand new thing for the league, that's for sure. I don't know if I answered the question, but
I think it also might be worth noting. I mean, it passed by an extremely wide margin. I believe it was around 61 to 60.
that's what my notes say, 61%, yeah.
So you could probably point to a group effort by a whole lot of groups to make sure that in the midterm election 2018, people knew about this. People knew what different places around the state felt about it.
Yeah, right. Okay, Nancy.
Another one that Anthony answered on the chat was, what are some good sources of publicly available mapping programs that we can use to map a community of interest? Anthony mentioned district.org, and also there's a tool, a public comment tool on the MICRC website, or it will be coming up. I'm not quite clear.
And what's the other one? I know district or whatever, how you say it, is the one apparently that's going to be used by the portal, but what's the other one? Was on our list, demonstrable or can you bring that list up again, Peggy? I don't know how handy it is. I can't remember the name of it. You don't remember, Nancy or Anthony?
Well, there's a number of different mapping
Yeah, but
softwares out there. There's Districtor, there's Dave's mapping that's on.
You wanted a resource list?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just for a second. I was just going to show it. Yeah, it was interesting to hear them mention the district or however you say it at the meeting today. Well, representable. I think that's the one maybe that Voters Not Politicians are using. I'm not sure, but they're both free. Yeah.
I believe representable is done by a group over at Princeton.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a really good one. It's it has a few more specific options than Districtor does, which is nice. Districtor though is it's very simple to use, so it might be a good starting point for people.
Right, I hear you. That's what I would want. Thanks, Peg. Okay, anything else, Nancy?
We have a question. Did any other states have legal challenges to the citizens redistricting that were upheld?
Good question.
So I'm not a legal expert by any means, but I do know that both. First off, I should say Michigan's only the third state in the country that's doing this. So we're pretty new at this, but 10 years ago, California did it, and their maps were challenged by their legislature, and they were upheld in their state Supreme Court. And the same thing happened in Arizona. Arizona Commission got the job done. They made their maps. They were sued, and then the Supreme Court again upheld their maps. I think it's pretty likely that we're gonna get sued at the end of this. We're probably gonna, in all honesty, we're probably gonna make both parties a little mad, which is probably a sign that we're doing something right, in my opinion. But if we do get sued, that's why we have on board with us these experts to make sure that when it does come time for that, whatever work we do is upheld.
Right, and that you're being very transparent and all that, so the people, they can never say, hey, that was under the table or something. Nancy?
One more here. Incarceration is a community of interest, and that wouldn't be mappable. Are they taking that into consideration?
Well, that's actually a topic I'm a little passionate about. Unfortunately, in Michigan law, there still is prison gerrymandering, as far as I know. And I believe it would take a change in Michigan law to be able to count people that are incarcerated at their home addresses, because when those people currently filled out the census, the address they put was the place they were incarcerated at, and our primary data is going to be that census data. So it's unfortunate, and that's something that I do, hope changes not only in Michigan but nationwide.
Thank you. Anything else, Nancy?
We do not have any other questions on the chat as of now.
Jen, did any show up on Facebook?
There's nothing on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay. Mary Jo,
Yes.
this is Mary Bajia. I tried to
Yes.
do a chat and I don't know where it went.
Oh, okay. What's your question, Mary?
Could I just make a comment then? When we talked about the 2020 census, if the information is not going to be released until the end of September, that is really a handicap in knowing even how to begin to draw a map or even to identify communities of interest, because that shows up in a census. Do we have any ballpark total that they can work with?
Well, I would just say that looking for the community of interest, we're doing that now. We're not looking at the census. The whole reason for bringing the filing the suit with the Supreme Court is to get more time, because we are getting the information so late. Yeah.
There are other data sets that could be used to help guide our decision-making procedure. For example, the 2019 American Community Survey is one that's often used. I mean, we can even go back and look at 2010 census data if we wanted to. I'm not really too much in favor of that. I'd rather use the most current and accurate data possible. But most likely we're going to start by using that data from the 2019 survey as a starting point. And then once we get this information that we need from communities of interest and from the new census data, whenever it's released, we'll then take that data and use it to perfect whatever we've come up with to that point.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Mary.
There's another question here, if we can add one more.
Sure.
So the map's actual use might be postponed for how long, how many elections after a legal challenge?
Yeah, I wondered that myself, because theoretically, if everything works out, we should be able to use the new maps in the, at least I think the fall of 2022. Do you have any idea, Anthony? What, did you hear the question?
I mean, the plan is to have these in place in time for the midterm election in 2022. I think it would take an extraordinary challenge for that date not to happen. So that's what the goal is. That's what, that's why the Michigan Secretary of State joined in on us in the lawsuit. They said that yes, if the court gives us this extension, we can still get everything out in time for it to be ready for the 2022 midterm election.
But they're asking about lawsuits. What role do lawsuits have in, if the plan is accepted and then somebody, says, no, this isn't right, I'm filing a lawsuit, does that stop stuff, or how does that work? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
I don't know how that works.
I'll have to ask our general counsel about that. But what I do know is that this commission has the legal standing to create the maps. So
right.
I don't know that it would, unless the court, were to one day find it, strike it down. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I
Plan-
guess you just kind of continue doing what you're doing until the judge says stop, is kind of what you're
Pretty
saying.
much. We're gonna keep moving forward, to complete our goals, and that's to have it, ready in time for the 2022 election. I mean, that's what the Constitution says, so that's what we're going by.
Okay. If anyone else has another question, you could raise your hand. Everybody know how to do that now under reactions? Or just shout out.
Mary Jo, while we are waiting for people to ask questions, can I take them to our league website?
Oh, that's a great idea.
So everyone, this is our website. And Mary Jo mentioned that there will be calendar events of things of interest for upcoming events, not only league events, but local events. So you just click on it and here will be a listing. You'll also, if you click on it and back to the front, that's where you'll find the posting for the recording for today. And then as also, here's all our, this is also all our social media contact information, so.
Thank you. That's a good idea. Marlene, did you have a question?
I was just going to suggest what Peggy just did.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Well, if no one has any more questions or comments, last call. This was great, and we have 30 participants still. It's pretty good. I'm really happy, and I'm so happy that you stayed on, Anthony, because there'd be a lot less questions answered.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you guys putting this on.
Oh yeah.
We need communities of interest to help guide us, to help let us know where their communities are, and to make sure that these maps actually represent the community like they're supposed to.
Yeah. Have you done any other League of Women Voters town halls?
Yes, I've done 2 other ones actually. I've been with, I believe her name is Sue Smith, I think.
Well, Sue Smith is our advocacy chair for the public, for the state league. And she really, if there was any person in the league that we would call the redistricting madam, she is it. I mean, she knows her stuff about redistricting. And as I said, we''ve been talking about redistricting since 2012, since we adopted the position. And so, she had a team of people going throughout the state and talking about it. Yeah, okay, great.
Mary, I think Mary Bujea had her hand up. She's still having trouble with the raise hand button.
Mary, do you have a question?
Back to the census, I wonder, do we have a ballpark figure about our Michigan population that, are we going to lose a congressional seat?
I'm sure I've seen a population somewhere, but I don't remember. Do you know, Anthony? Everybody's saying we're going to lose one.
Yeah, I've not seen any data personally, but the rumor on the street is that we're going to lose one again. That would have a pretty big impact on the maps compared to what we currently have, because we'd be losing a seat. So if we do, it'd be really interesting to see what happens, but no one knows yet until the census releases that data.
Anthony, this can maybe sound weird, but okay, so for example, if we would like to make sure that Dearborn and Dearborn Heights are together, maybe in a congressional district, I mean, whose job is it to present that to the commission? I mean, is it the mayors of the city? Is it the council member? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't make sense that, Susie Smith and a few friends are going to get together and say, hey, I think Dearborn and Dearborn Heights should be together. You know what I mean? What role do the governmental officials have in all this, I wonder?
What we've heard from Arizona and from California is that the public hearings really did play a major part in those commissions determining where to draw lines. So I can't say for sure, what's going to happen in the future with our commission, but I don't expect any, mayors or political operatives like that to be, talking to us. I mean, I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't listen to them because, the whole point of this is for it to be transparent in the public. For it to be a transparent, citizens-driven process.
Well, yeah, because I mean, theoretically, you don't know the commission doesn't know much about this area, Michigan. I know some of them do, but I mean, how would they know? I mean, how can it be documented somehow that two cities would like to be together? I mean, is it up to the citizens to do that? I don't know.
Well, I think that's exactly what we're talking about. We need the people of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights to show up at our meetings and to write us and to tell us we don't want to be split up. Put Dearborn and Dearborn Heights together.
Okay, even if okay, all right. So think big.
Well, and you can think big
And little.
Large scale and little, because the Michigan state districts are much smaller than the congressional districts. So, you could have a macro community and then you can have, a micro community. I mean, so it just depends. But I'll have you know, I do know a little bit about Dearborn. I was over there like 3 days ago getting dinner with my family. So,
Oh.
yeah, I live about 10 minutes away from you guys. I just hop on 94 and get off on Loyola.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Or take the fast bus down to Schaefer.
Mary Jo, should we
Yes.
include the Chamber of Commerce because it's Dearborn and Dearborn Heights?
I would think so. And I know that actually somebody on our team has tried to talk to Jackie, but yeah, that would make sense to me too. Yeah. So, we'll do what we can. We're working through it. I know that the team is continuing to receive some guidance on, how to proceed. Miriam from Access is on tonight, and they're trying to work with their community, and maybe there's something we can help out there too. I don't know. I think it's kind of exciting though. Okay, so I want to thank everyone tonight. If you do live in a community that has a May 4th election, please remember to vote. You can get your absentee ballot tonight. And just on a personal note, if you are eligible, and I think most adults are now, to be vaccinated, please do so, especially if you're in Dearborn. You can do it right up at the Civic Center. Go on the website, city's website, and get an appointment. So thank you so much, everyone that helped out tonight and all our members. And I don't see any questions. So thank you again, Anthony, and say hello to all your co-commissioners.
Well, hey, I put my Twitter handle there in the chat. If anyone wants to follow along, it's at Anthony Eid, the first 4 letters of my first name and then my last name. Feel free to give me a follow. It's a public profile, and you can keep up with news on the commission from there. I also put our commission Twitter account at Redistricting at mine.
Oh, you know what? Somebody did have a question. They said, are you the only one from Southeast Michigan? But no, so you're from Orchard. Who's from Orchard Lake? Is that?
That's me.
That's you? Okay. But
there are 2 more as well that are.
I know definitely that Rebecca, she lives in Canton, I think. And then I thought there was somebody from either Southfield or somewhere else.
Yeah,
but
Brittany is from Southeast.
Oh, and well, she's from Detroit, I think. Yeah. And I want to mention that the public hearing on June 3rd in Dearborn is the only one in Wayne County aside from 2 that are going to be in Detroit. So we're pretty lucky we got it. So hopefully we can turn out for it. And I will be probably asking league members to volunteer to staff these workstations or whatever they call them to take testimony those nights. Hopefully things will work out better. Wow, it's really close, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody. I think we'll sign off. Thank you. Bye-bye.